politicians keep politicking before you turn to excessive drinking. Spend some time collectively politinkering with the show where I don't know, man. 'Cause the truth is I don't know, man. 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 I don't know, man.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Politinkering. I would like to give a warm welcome to our new co-hosts in the studio. First off, we have Sean O'Brien.
How are you, my man?
Doing well. And we also have joining us again, Mr. Joseph Bonier.
Yeah, how's it going?
Wonderful.
Oh. I'll take it. That's a comedic turn.
Right on. So,
all right.
We'll just dive right in today.
Okay.
On the agenda, what should we eat?
What should we eat?
What should we eat?
I haven't eaten today. I'm so fucking hungry. What should we eat?
Just
is your
to drive
question?
it in there
What does that
more.
mean? What should we eat?
What
should we order?
Well,
for food?
you know, I mean, as a society, what is it that should be in our food supply? What is it as a human that we should consume? What would be the best diet for us? Should we be concerned with how we affect things? Should we be concerned with the GMOs? Should we be concerned with how we farm? Should we be concerned with killing things? Is it okay to kill an animal and eat it? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Joey.
Well, I'll start with the one about I kind of like the idea of us being not just herbivores but omnivores. Like we can eat both, and we're kind of I think, are we apex predators? I have a question.
Yeah.
I think we are, right?
We're like out of the food chain. We're not even in the fucking food
okay,
chain.
so take
anymore.
our tools out though. We're not really apex predators.
Well, no, without our tools, we're not human.
Yeah, our brain is a tool.
Okay, so
And thus
yes,
our
we are.
tools are
I'll keep our tools in there. Anyways, but I think I've heard that the reason that we've evolved to our higher state of being is because we are large consumption of protein, is what I've heard. I've heard that actually, well, obviously we all came out of Africa, supposedly, according to the, anthropology, and that they lived on the shores of like South Africa and like Eastern Africa, I think, and they had like the snails and like the mussels that came out, and that caused our brains to, be larger. So theoretically, maybe we wouldn't even be human without the consumption of meat and other proteins.
But now that we're human, are we still justified in eating meat? Is it okay to kill
yes, because I'm such
Is it okay to kill the snails? Is it okay to kill a living creature?
Is it okay to kill the carrot?
Well, right, yeah. What's the difference? What's the difference between a carrot and a cat?
Yeah. Where does sentience begin? Is the carrot just not on a larger time scale? Does it not just move slower than we do?
Joey, is it okay to eat a cat?
Yeah. Oh, no, cat. Oh, I thought you were going to say cow, and I got
Why?
excited.
No. Well, okay. Is it okay to eat a cow?
Yes.
Is it okay to eat a cat?
No.
Why?
Why is it? What is the difference between those two?
Now, so socially, one is a big taboo.
I mean, it's
Fuck
hard.
socially. I'm just saying, like, what's the difference?
It's hard to say you
Well,
want to eat a cat with
a
Fury
cat
staring
seems
at
to be more lovable and intelligent and more human-like.
What? That seems unfair to the cow.
It's you know what? It seems
you. 'Cause the
unfair.
cow's an asshole.
But humans, we judge animals almost like on how cute they are. Like we like squirrels and rats. Like we will like they're both similar. Even pigeons. Like
What about
a
fish?
rat is similar to a squirrel?
yeah, aren't they both rodents?
Well, they're both.
Yeah.
And they both kind of
Rodentia.
I mean, they both kind of. I don't know if I guess squirrels is disease, but I would guess they're pretty damn close.
But you're saying we shouldn't eat rats and squirrels because they're cute like a cat?
No, I'm saying we treat them differently. Like we would kill a rat, we probably wouldn't kill a squirrel.
Oh,
I
because
don't
the
know.
squirrel is cuter.
Yeah, exactly, because their face is cute or something like
It's
that.
really just because they have hair on their tail.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the tail.
Yeah.
That's clearly why
that
I'm not
scary
gonna-
opossum tail is just nasty on a rat.
I can speak from the Jewish perspective about kashrut, which is going to be interesting, being
Okay,
kosher, because
sure.
and I think this is actually really interesting too, because this all goes back to whether we can eat pig too, because there's a huge thing about the the fear of the pig. And
Right.
it comes from like the Sumerian Canaanite tribes and stuff like that, and it was adopted by like Judaism and Islam. But the whole point is
Isn't
that
that basically just a bunch of people died on some bad pork?
Right.
I probably like trichinosis is what they
Yeah.
say. But there's a whole thing like that maybe pigs were just difficult to breed.
Right. No more pork.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
That's it. Fuck this.
But what's creepy is that obviously pigs are, everyone knows, are the closest flesh to humans, and they're actually extremely good for you. I mean, it's a lean meat. It's almost like eating white chicken, or turkey or something.
Are you suggesting
Yeah,
we
of course.
should
The
be
next
eating
question,
people?
then why shouldn't we eat humans?
Oh yeah, I wasn't alluding to that. I
We
was just
know,
kind of
but-
getting hungry for like barbecue or something.
I'm sure
But-
you'd be delicious with
But,
barbecue.
Yeah.
but
Go ahead.
I guess I was just.
So you're saying the cuteness of an animal is why we shouldn't kill it? That seems
Well,
insane.
I'm saying that we're prejudiced against animals depending upon not just how healthy, but kind of their look and how they are. Like we think pigs, like
yeah,
live
I
in-
know that we are. The question is,
Yeah,
should we be?
No.
Yeah, this
We shouldn't be. Okay. So we should
Although-
be allowed to eat everything, or we shouldn't be allowed to eat animals.
this
Well,
show
nothing
is
on the
about
nothing on
fixing
the
the
endangered
world,
species
Right.
list.
Nothing on the endangered species list should
but
be
they're so
consumed.
delicious.
They are.
I don't
What
know,
are you?
I'm just assuming. I mean, they're endangered for a reason. Someone must have liked it.
Fair enough.
Or they just want, it was a Cecil the lion or whatever.
Yeah.
I still don't have a problem with that.
It's not that I had a problem with it. I just really didn't fucking care. Like
Yeah.
at the time that it happened with everything that was going on in the
Yeah.
world, the last thing I was interested in was a fucking dentist killed a
That's
lion.
good. I like that
Like
perspective.
I was sad and I felt, it was like, yeah, sure, but it was literally, I think like the Michael Brown shooting had like just happened.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, you
Yeah. How
fucking
is
kidding
this
me?
front
Yeah.
page news?
Yeah, get the fuck out of here with this. Like, should
Exactly.
he kill the lion? No. Should we be talking about it? I don't think so.
Or
I
how
don't
much
think
effort
so,
was
man.
gone into shaming that guy on Facebook and
Oh,
Twitter.
yeah.
Sure.
And he's a dentist or whatever. Like he can never work again. Probably. Well, maybe he can. Work
Yeah.
again.
He'll
But-
still fucking work. He's
no,
a
I'm
dentist.
sure, but he
Nobody
is publicly
cares.
shamed pretty badly.
Yeah.
Like maybe he's to change his name. Or
Sure,
some
but
shit.
but should we have like thought about that over the rest of the problems that we're
I agree.
going
I think
through?
it's all part of the horrible distraction that is
Right.
this. But maybe why is our obsession with? I think it's also PETA is a big deal. They have a huge, powerful
Right.
thing, and vegetarian, especially all three of us live in Los Angeles. We
Right.
realize how many vegetarians and
vegetarian
vegans and
place,
gluten free stuff there.
right.
It
Well,
caters to
gluten
them.
free is completely separate and stupid. But that
Well, but again, what is like? We are humans. We have the ability to reason what we should eat, right? And so a lion doesn't necessarily have the ability to reason. So he has no moral autonomy. He's
Again,
not a
that's
moral
debatable.
agent. You think a lion can be a moral agent?
I think a lion can have the ability to reason.
Reason the way that we reason, as far as
I
like
mean-
determining whether or not it's okay to eat an animal. is what I'm saying.
There's levels. Does a 5-year-old reason the same way that I reason? No, but I mean, there
it
is
certainly
still-
reasons better than a
So we're
lion,
just going by level of
nevertheless.
intelligence now.
Yeah, is that the ultimate
If
threshold?
that's true, pigs are like top 5.
Yeah,
It
and-
still can't determine whether or not it's not a moral agent. It can't make a moral decision as to whether or not it is right or wrong to kill something.
I don't know about that because I mean,
A dolphin maybe can.
a dolphin certainly can.
But we have no evidence.
Well,
for it
no,
this.
I
don't know.
I don't
I'd
know
take
about
And
moral.
more importantly,
I don't know.
okay,
Maybe they
so
can.
so all right. So then to
Well,
make this easy, or go ahead.
just to address that
Sure.
point, when a mother cub or a mother lion does not eat their cubs, is that not the basis for morality? Is that not the beginning of some sort of a moral structure? If you're going to say that this is just a killing machine, why would it not just automatically turn and eat anything that's alive?
Because it hasn't reasoned that it's morally right not to kill. It instinctively recognizes the perpetuation of the species. I don't think it's reasoning. in that
Honestly,
sense.
I'm not sure then by that definition that humanity's reasoning.
Okay.
It seems to be
we can make moral decisions though. I don't think we have any evidence that another animal can make a moral decision. Any other animal, including a dolphin, we have no evidence for that.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's semantics at this point as
I
to
don't know
what you
about
consider
that.
morality.
I think there might be evidence of some
Okay, like what?
like a dolphin saving another dolphin's life or something like that. Is that moral? I don't know.
Yeah, but then dolphins also rape swimmers, and they
Right.
But that's immoral. That's kind of proof that they have I don't know.
How is that proof that they have a morality?
No, I
Yeah.
think they have a compass, whatever.
But we
They-
can't determine.
well-
we can't.
Maybe
we
they
don't-
do they shame the rapist? I don't know. Maybe they all.
That's the
We have no.
Do they all like poke
Can-
it I don't know.
I still haven't heard
this
any
is all
evidence that we
speculation.
do.
No, you're probably right. But
I'm not making the claim.
chimpanzees,
I'm
okay.
simply saying.
Chimpanzees, I'm sure, have some sort of morality in their
Where does
tribe.
the evidence for that? You're just saying I'm sure.
No,
Jane
Jane Goodall,
anything.
I'm sure, has some sort of research of this.
But all you're saying
But
is I'm sure. What I'm saying is we have evidence that humans can reason. We don't necessarily have. I'm not convinced.
But this is all
not so much
mood.
reason. I mean, like humans are a moral agent. We have evidence for that, right? I have no evidence that, and more importantly,
so
even
by
if
that
they
logic, we
are-
can eat everything
no. I'm saying that we don't eat humans, right?
because they have moral reasoning.
Okay, well, perhaps, but
is,
I mean,
is that the reason?
But all
No,
I'm
I'm
saying,
asking.
all I'm saying is that we
Yeah.
can reason whether or not it's okay to kill something, right? And we have no evidence that a different animal or species can. So we are in a different class, and at the very least, we are in among our own class to understand whether or not it is okay. And I think it's valid for us to ask the question: is it morally right for us to kill an animal for us to eat? When the option is you can eat a plant. What is the question? I think it's an okay question.
It's an okay question.
certainly.
It's an okay question.
Is it morally?
For sure.
So are we morally justified for killing an animal? What is our moral justification for killing an animal?
Survival.
Survival.
Mm.
But we can eat a plant.
Protein.
Protein. You can get protein from plants.
But they're not as delicious.
You're right. They are fucking. Animals are much more delicious.
Yeah.
Animals are much more delicious. Is our right to enjoy something to enjoy one meal over another
You
outweigh the life of the animal?
Yes. I mean, just more. I mean, from my own sort of standpoint, yeah, I'm gonna.
It does. Why?
I mean, that is just life. The perpetuation of all life is dependent upon the destruction of other life. So whether or not you're an animal or a plant or whatever, you have to kill in order to survive. Plants are
Well, they live off the sunlight. Plants.
right, but they're also breaking down the soils around them. They're breaking down the dead bodies. They're breaking down.
Yeah,
the
but they're not killing. They
No, it's a
haven't killed
competition
anything.
for space. Is what
They
Uh,
that's
haven't
what-
killed anything.
No, no.
Venus flytraps.
No.
do.
I mean, you can
Sure.
say that like when a plant,
But they
it's
also
not
aren't
the
moral
same.
agents.
No, it's not the same. It's not obviously not moral or anything. But
Okay.
a plant grows into a certain space, so it's a competition of space for that light. So if a plant's leaves grab that light, then the plants
Certainly.
below it will die. So it's a competition for that space.
But
It's the same. It's what he's saying. is
I
that-
understand. But is that? But there's still no morality there in the plant growing over the other
Well,
thing.
that's my point. I'm
That's
not
true.
We are acting. In other words, I haven't heard us that we are acting. We are not acting immoral by killing an animal. You haven't convinced me of that. I think we are. I think it. Right? Killing is wrong. It seems immoral to kill an animal
what happens if
just for us to eat.
You're assuming. Here's what I would say about the protein
Okay.
thing. The protein delivery system. We need protein, obviously. Now,
Sure.
yes, we can get it in many different ways nowadays because we have supermarkets. And
Sure.
but what happens if you don't have a supermarket? You live in an island somewhere, and you
Uh-huh.
only can either eat like a certain plant, and you can eat these goats. Or
Okay.
whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Do you think that it should be a different story for them? The moral should be different.
Yes, I think it would be.
Oh, okay.
I think that they're still acting
It's
immorally.
because it's a question of survival.
Right. They are still acting immorally in a sense.
But
But
they
in
could
that,
survive, let's say, on that plant in their island.
then they would certainly be acting very immorally. If they could.
But they
if-
wouldn't be getting the same nutrition, maybe. Maybe they wouldn't. Maybe they wouldn't be growing an
so-
extra inch or something. You know what
Sure.
I'm saying?
So their quality of life would be diminished by not eating the
Slightly.
fish, by not killing
They could
the
still
fish.
survive without eating fish.
Right. But their
they,
quality of life would be diminished. Right.
They wouldn't grow to their specific size.
Right.
They wouldn't be strong. They,
Sure.
whatever.
I would say in that instance, they in that particular instance might not be acting immorally.
Okay.
Right? The action is still wrong. They are not acting immorally. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because their options are limited, and thus it's in other words, if someone comes in to try to kill you, right, and your only option is to kill them, have you acted immorally?
So it's changed over time, and
I'm not saying it changed over time. I'm saying that
supply,
right. You have to
based
look
on
at each individual
context.
scenario in its own moral context. Right. It is not.
Sure.
I don't know if there's any. I mean, that's a whole issue. That's a whole nother episode. Sorry.
I guess I'm still questioning whether it is immoral to kill.
Mhm.
Why do we just automatically assume that is the default position? Well, outside the fact that we are the only animals that have this opinion, I mean, that leads me to believe we might not be correct in that. And then what is morality in and of itself? What defines moral?
Sure.
Why is it that when we think something, that thought is superior to any other species having a thought? Because they can't articulate it the same way that we can, doesn't necessarily mean that they're not having complex thought. There are studies with birds where, crows will recognize the face of people that have harmed them. And so they will attack people that when they see them on the street, very specific people. Like they've done studies where scientists, have to dress up as other animals so that these birds don't recognize them and, reason that they have done something morally against them.
Let me give you guys an interesting thought experiment, if you don't mind. Okay, how does this go? Shit. So
there's
let's
a cat
say,
in a box.
No. So let's say a train is barreling down the runway. Okay.
Choo-choo.
Right. You see the train coming down.
Thanks for the sound effect.
And you're standing, and there's a fork in the train, the tracks,
They
right?
call it a switch.
Well, right. I haven't talked about the switch yet, but there's the fork in the track, or I guess the switch, whatever. Either way,
He's an engineer.
the train as it stands is going right toward 5 people. Okay, they're all stuck on the track.
Yeah.
You're standing by the switch, and you could divert the train. The problem is there's one man on the other side, on the other track.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you do?
Yeah, switch it. I mean,
You switch it.
Yeah,
So
there's
it's
no
okay.
question.
Why are you switching it?
it's numbers.
It's numbers. It's
Yeah.
okay to now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I
Joe?
agree with John.
Okay.
I switch it because of numbers.
Right. Okay. So
I think 99% of people would agree with that.
perhaps. Well, yeah. No, sure. That's I think what most people would do. Now, the next question is: are you morally justified in doing that? Have you not at the moment?
Well, hold on.
You
Oh,
haven't.
okay.
You will not have killed the 5 people. You will have just stood by. If you
Right.
switch it, you
Yeah.
have actively killed that man.
I know this is a kind of a digression, but this brings me to an interesting example about torture. Like, what happens if you had the option to torture someone, and you know that you would save 5 people, where if you didn't torture them, you would, you know what I mean? You would save 1 person. You know what I'm saying? If
No.
it was the opposite, but you had to torture them to do.
It's the same conundrum.
It's
Yeah.
sort of the same.
But that's what. But I don't think the percentages would go way down because people aren't willing to actually do it themselves. I think is the question is pulling the switch.
Well, I'm
the action
that
of
gets
doing
us
I'm
into the
opening up the
milk
question.
experiment,
Right,
though.
exactly.
like people
yeah,
don't-
that's a whole nother can of worms.
I know.
I'm talking about the
I know. I just like that idea of just bringing that up. Crazy
You're
stuff.
like, I'd rather talk about this.
I just want to. No, I knew it'd be a digression.
What is your moral? It's not a digression. Yours is a digression.
Yeah, but no,
Got
go
it,
ahead.
yeah.
No, go back.
No,
to
I'm
what
just
you were saying.
asking. What are the moral implications behind your actions? Is there a way around it?
Yeah, you are really hung up on this morality more than I am.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
see-
You said is killing okay, right? Or why is it not okay to kill?
I don't know. I wanted to kill a whole island last episode.
I understand. No, I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. You said why is it not okay to kill?
Yeah.
Which is a perfectly valid question. And so the reason I'm bringing this up, of course, is because, well, 99% of the people would say switch it, but in that sense, you've actively killed someone, right?
Right.
And
But in standing by, you're actively killing 5 people. I mean,
are you actively killing them?
Yes, by not taking
You
action.
haven't done anything.
By not taking an action that you can and
Mm-hmm.
are capable of doing, and you've thought it through, and without any of those excuses,
Sure.
by standing there, if you know full well that you can hit this button
Okay.
and change the fate either way, that I don't see a
Okay.
difference.
So let me jump this one into you so everybody's fine with that one, right?
Yes.
So now there's no switch.
Mhm.
Train is barreling toward 5 people. But right next to you, there's a rather large man. And if you push him onto the tracks, he will stop the train.
Are you sure of that?
Yes.
Then yeah, I push him.
You push him. You
Yep.
kill him.
Yep. Same thing.
Yeah.
No different.
Same thing. You kill him as well. You jump into it.
This is collateral
Does
damage.
it feel worse? Does it feel worse in some way, or is it
Yeah.
just the same?
No, it feels worse.
To
To me, I mean, personally.
Why?
think it's the Milgram thing again. Like,
Okay, it's just definitely the action of it.
well,
Exactly.
I think it's the separation.
Okay.
It's telling a device to do something versus doing it yourself.
Okay.
But
And
we're still dealing with people. I think this needs to be a different definition when we're talking about animals. I'm
we
sorry.
were talking about food.
We're talking about-
Well, no, we are talking about killing in
Oh,
general.
we're talking about hunting, and I want to bring this up because this brings me back to the action idea, and it's similar to what you were saying. Actually,
Okay.
it has to be exactly what you're saying.
Right.
Is we are totally cool eating an animal, but I would guess a huge percentage of us that eat animals
Mhm.
would not be willing to go hunt that same animal and
Yeah.
do the killing ourselves and pluck the feathers out.
I think it would be more moral to kill them.
I
Yeah,
agree.
certainly.
In fact, I feel like that about hunters.
If
I
you are
feel
the
like
one doing it,
yeah, if you're doing it, you have the right to eat it. I think is even more.
Well,
so.
I would almost say that you're obligated to
Yeah.
eat it if you kill it.
For the most part.
Otherwise, you've done nothing. You've just killed it for sport, which seems wrong. I would say certainly.
I agree.
No,
But I mean, I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't
Might
know.
not
There's
be.
some hunting that's not. I don't know.
I guess you're right. It goes back to the very point that you were saying in the first place. Is it okay? Is it okay to kill, or why is it wrong to kill?
Exactly.
Okay.
And I mean, getting into the hunting for sport, just a quick digression. I mean, there is a real problem with population control in some animals.
Mhm.
Where I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, famously they got Ted Nugent to come out and take care of some of the deer that were causing traffic accidents. So
Nooch.
I mean, it's because it's not something that would have happened naturally. It's
Mhm.
because we've created
Weren't we killing? But we were already killing them with
Well, no.
traffic then.
The thing is that we created a
Bullets
sprawling
are cheaper
empire.
than cars, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah. We
Okay.
created a sprawling empire in the middle of this wildlife, and basically we've taken out all of the predators. So all of the animals that would have been part of that food chain
Mhm.
are now just able to proliferate. Thank you. And so they are hugely numerous,
Mhm.
and that presents a problem for everything. Because we've done what we've done, we've thrown the ecosystem out of balance.
Mhm.
So is it not then incumbent upon us to try and rectify what we've done? We've created a situation where this animal can flourish beyond what it really should be capable of doing in this environment. So then are we justified in going and thinning those numbers out in order to make sure that the ones that are left aren't starving and aren't being hit by cars and
Sure.
have enough place to live?
Sure.
Go ahead. No, I think the truth is you're right. We like to play God in the situation. We like to kind of play God in the ecosystem, and honestly, if we didn't do anything, probably a species would become extinct or something like that. And we're not cool with that. What is our obsession with keeping every single endangered species alive, or should we just let nature run its course? You know what I mean?
If we are causing it, then we're not letting nature cause its course.
Are we nature? Maybe we are.
That's humanity, though. That's why we survive, is that we manipulate our environment rather than adapt to it.
Right.
All other animals are forced to adapt to their environment.
Right.
We are at a place in our evolution where we can adapt our environment to us.
I mean, we have dogs that shouldn't exist because
Yeah.
we make them.
I think that's interesting, though. It's like
No.
if
Our world is not
If you
nature.
want to,
No.
your species wants to survive, make sure humans like to eat you, because that's
Exactly.
Yeah.
that's going to be the one that we're going to make sure we breed and crossbreed and do other, or we'd like to ride you like horses or something like that.
We use
That's what she
horses
said.
for food.
We eat horses? I guess we do. Yeah,
We feed them to our animals mainly, but yeah, there's definitely
Yeah, that's
part of our
true.
food chain.
and glue.
Yeah. Well, we don't really do that too much anymore.
I thought we did. I think that's always a rumor, but I don't know.
No, that used to be a thing, but now our synthetic polymers are a lot better than horse glue.
Well, so okay, we still haven't answered the question: is it okay to kill,
I mean,
or is it not okay to kill?
yeah, I've answered it.
You think it is? You think it is? In what instance is it not okay to kill?
Are you mean pacifism? Is that the only other option?
No, I'm just asking. What's in what instances? You said it is okay in some instances to kill. What are those instances?
Are we talking about people or food?
What would you prefer to talk about?
So,
I think
mean,
the going with people is a little bit easier because then we can kind of apply it to animals, but because we haven't figured out. But sure, animals. Sure, we can just talk about animals. We'll
People
just
is
go
just a huge difference.
Let's go to animals. Let's just jump to animals. then.
With animals, yeah. I mean,
It is okay across the board to kill in every instance.
For the most part,
Okay.
yeah.
Really? Wow.
I mean, other than just
Sadistic.
sadistic.
Okay,
Torture,
torture
skinning
and-
cats for
Okay,
the fun of
just
it
for
as a
fun.
juvenile
Can
or
I
something.
bring up an example here?
Yeah.
The Cove. You seen the Cove? It's about the
Fuck
Japanese.
you,
Oh,
whale!
yeah.
And fuck you, dolphin!
The whales.
South Park
Not the whales.
episode.
Sorry, the dolphins.
Mhm.
They drive them all into this cove, and
And
it's
they
like
just
300
slaughter
and they
them,
slaughter.
yeah,
But they do eat them.
Yeah.
But I guess how would you feel about that? That's okay by you?
I'm a
According
former
to your
fisherman, man.
But even whales or like
As long as
or
they're
dolphins or
yeah, I mean, as long as they're not endangered and on like a
Okay.
Why is killing an endangered animal wrong?
it's not wrong. It's just not sustainable. So it's just not a good idea.
Why is it a good idea to sustain animals then?
Because if we're killing an animal, it's
Mhm.
most likely for a purpose, right? So it's either for food, it's for their ivory, it's for whatever it is, their shark fins, whatever it is.
Right.
Like anything, we have to manage our resources. So it's not okay to just go down and cut down the entire forest because we want to sell the lumber. We got to make sure that we plant some trees behind us and make sure that there's going to be trees when we want to deforest again in 30 years or whatever.
But it's okay to kill a shark just because you want its fin?
Yeah. I
Well-
mean, something else is going to eat it. So when you take the fins off,
Nothing's gonna eat a shark, but still.
no, don't.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, I mean,
I know.
nothing eats a shark when it's alive, but when you take its fins off and it floats to the bottom, it's a feast. Like there's
Yo, great point. Very good point. You're right. Okay.
You're. I mean, as long as the numbers are there, as long as we're not, impacting the ecosystem,
Okay.
I don't think that it's
We
a
haven't done
horrible
anything wrong.
Yeah, I morally certainly not.
Well,
no.
we inevitably, if history is a guide, we inevitably do look at like the population. Well, the bison, we could look at the whale population with blubber when we needed it for our lamp oil. We pretty much destroyed a bunch of whales. I mean, there's a bunch of situations where we did because. in
yeah,
history.
we've done tons of damage, which is why we've figured
So,
out regulation.
Do you think regulation is okay for that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
I mean,
Sustainability of the ecosystem.
we have
is
to manage our
paramount for him.
resources, just like we have to manage how
But
many
I
trees
guess
we cut down.
the important thing is so you're cool with killing anything that's not human.
I didn't even say that.
Yeah, he didn't say that either. But let's just stick with the animals, though.
But that's I'm saying.
No, I meant to imply that I wasn't necessarily opposed to killing humans.
Right.
But
no, okay, but for food, obviously.
yeah, I mean,
No,
yes.
either
we're
way, he
talking
said
about
there's
food.
other instances too, but that's a
Even for like, I'm not talking about Donner Party stuff. I mean, let's just take that out of the
neither is
question.
he, I don't think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No,
I mean, like, so you're cool with like
Sorry,
the Japanese
let's take
killing dolphins, I guess whales,
honestly, if it's being
but not
used,
dogs. You wouldn't want to kill dogs. Like, I don't know. Is
I don't
every
know.
animal?
Yeah, I mean,
Cool.
there's
I don't know.
I can't remember what country it was, but I saw a thing on it recently where they were like rounding up all of the stray dogs and they were in cages and they were being sold off as meat and food. I don't have a problem with that, especially if
Wow.
they're in a situation where those dogs are worse off where they
Yeah.
are. When those dogs are wandering the streets starving, looking for a meal, and the rest of that country is starving as well, I don't see a problem with
Okay.
having
Yeah.
that be a food supply.
I see.
Also, especially like things like rabbits and dogs, they breed so much faster than most other species. You can, turn that into a
Okay.
sustainable way of living a lot easier than cows or horses or these big bovine animals.
Yeah. So look, it's completely philosophically consistent. He is. It's
Yeah, you can't
across the
argue
board.
with
There's
it,
no. Well, you
too
can
much.
absolutely
Yeah,
argue with
you're
it.
going to. I'm
Which
sure.
I'm going to.
Yeah, I guess you can. But I mean, like, it's at least it's the way I feel kind of about like extremist religious people. I'm like, at least they're following everything they're saying.
No, he has a justification. His principle
right,
behind
you're
it
right.
is
Okay.
sustainability of the ecosystem.
Okay,
He's
you're right. I
not
should have
blindly doing it.
100%.
He has a
He
has
you're
a
right.
standpoint behind
He's
it.
got some evidence there.
And it's consistent across the board.
You're right.
So, are there any other instances? In other words, it's just the at the moment it's not just population control necessarily; it's sustainability of the ecosystem in general, right? Is it immoral
That
to
should
kill?
that should be the regulation above it. Yeah.
Well, is that also the moral justification for it, from your standpoint?
Again, I have a hard time with just this concept of morality.
Oh, okay. We
that-
can talk
yeah.
about that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you just kind of assume that killing is wrong, and just kind of across the board. I
Right.
like I said,
Well,
I don't,
yeah,
I don't necessarily subscribe to that, and I don't think that morality itself is intrinsic or something that is universal.
I definitely don't think that killing across the board is wrong.
Okay,
I don't think that at all.
Yeah,
I think there are obviously instances where it's okay to kill.
certainly.
And we can determine what those are in each instance. As was
Yeah,
just-
on a case by case basis.
Right. Yeah, that's
it's
what you
really-
have to do. I
yeah.
think that's what you have to do. I think that's the way more. There is no. I don't necessarily believe that there is an objective morality.
Yeah.
Right? Something can be objectively wrong given the circumstance once you determine from a subjective point of view what all the things are, and you kind of outweigh whatever.
Exactly.
And that's whether something is wrong or right.
And morality changes based on your perspective.
Yes.
So if you're getting back to your train analogy in the Switch,
Sure.
if you're one of those 5 people, your perception of that moral decision is going to be impacted quite a bit, as opposed to being someone that's just watching that happen,
or the family member of the one guy. You've done it.
So,
I mean, that question is more of that thought experiment was more of the question of action, and it was supposed to breach us into the idea of actively killing something rather than letting something die, right? Which is the biggest difference. That is a difference there, because it's so. Whatever your go ahead.
Oh no, I was just. Do you have a go for it?
Whatever your reason for killing something is, right, needs to be justified. That's what I would say. Whether or not you kill something is not just wrong at all. I don't think so. And if your reasoning behind killing something, right, is the sustainability of the ecosystem, then I think you might be under the obligation to show that the ecosystem would be negatively impacted by not killing this one thing.
Which you're asking for something that's impossible, essentially. You're asking to prove a negative, which is just, on its face value, not something that is intrinsically provable. We can give you data that suggest one thing or another, but to say that we know, I mean, not to get too off topic, but to say that we know global warming is happening is to say that we know what would have happened if we weren't here. And so, there are variables that just
I don't know if that's true. You can determine what's going. You can say what is happening. You can't say that it's.
You can extrapolate.
You can definitely extrapolate.
You can set.
I don't think I'm asking you to prove a negative.
I think there's also precedent. I mean, in the animal kingdom. I mean, that's for sure. We have precedents of certain species being taken out and what happens to the rest of the ecosystem and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's why
we can predict that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm asking you to prove a negative.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem. I mean, that's what all of those decisions should be based on. We shouldn't just be saying, "Oh, I see too many deer out there. Let's kill a bunch."
No, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But you still are under in the deer situation, right? I don't think you're not. I think you are morally justified in that control. Well, you might be if your justification is the fact that people are running into them with cars, and thus we need to kill more of them, so that people don't fucking have to pay more for their car insurance. Like, fuck that. I don't think that's morally justified. You're killing an animal. You know what I mean?
Right.
For your car. Like,
I mean,
aren't there ways you could set up a fence? There are so many different options than just killing the deer.
That's a side effect of the larger problem, which is just the overpopulation in general, which pushes them into the areas that are populated.
Sure, but aren't there it seems like there are ways around, there are other alternatives than killing them.
Right, and that would be completely redesigning the ecosystem, essentially. That would be terraforming.
Is that not an okay thing? I mean, isn't that what you're doing anyway?
Yeah.
By killing them?
No, it's just an expense thing. A few bullets is a lot cheaper than redesigning an ecosystem.
Yeah, but I don't know if the morality is
Again,
weighed
this morality
in there.
thing, I don't know that it exists.
Okay. Well, okay. In every instance, there must be a question of whether something is right or wrong, right? Or you think that there is no right or wrong, period?
This is something I am unsure of.
Okay.
And this gets back to our religious arguments and whatnot.
Okay.
But I don't think that there is an intrinsic right and wrong. I don't necessarily know that there,
I don't think so either. I agree with you.
It feels a little too binary to me in that
there's no intrinsic. Well, intrinsic is the operative word there.
Right.
But is there a right or wrong in certain instances?
I think there is what is right for each person. Okay. I don't know that there is a right.
There's no cosmic.
Sure, I agree with you.
Right.
I agree with you. I agree. I think we're on the same page. Joey, by the way, what do you think about morality?
I think he's generally right, but there are some situations where we can objectively say this is right, this is wrong.
You can say objectively whether something is right or wrong once you've weighed it subjectively.
I don't
think there's anything across the board objectively right or wrong.
I mean, yeah, meaning that.
No, I know what you're saying, but
every
I don't
person in
think
the
so,
world
I don't.
agrees with your moral decision.
Right. Right.
You're right. There's not 100%
Yeah, it
across
doesn't
the
mean that-
board,
right.
but I still
No,
think,
even if it is 100% across the board, that still doesn't make it objectively right in and of itself. If there were no man, if there was
Essentially,
no
if there-
one to make that decision.
Yeah, essentially,
I
if there is no God, then there is no objectively right or wrong.
I disagree.
Yeah, basically.
I disagree. I just do think
Okay,
I
so then-
think there is. I think it probably you're right.
So what
It
is your basis
It
for
might
morality? then?
slightly change by, I guess, over time, depending upon how humans think, I guess. But I think generally humans have agreed on like the golden rule and that kind of stuff.
The agreement is not what makes it always objectively right or wrong. That's what makes it subjective is our agreement.
That's democracy. That's not
Right.
morality.
Okay.
It's okay if you do, but what
I just
You can be wrong. It's okay.
I don't
it's
think
not
I'm
even wrong. Did you write on the terms or not? I just
Yeah.
want to. If you're saying something is always okay, would there be a right or wrong if there were no people or no moral agents to determine whether something was right or wrong?
Or no ramifications.
Right. Not even no
So-
ramifications. No one there to
No one
judge.
to judge.
There would be
too-
ramifications.
This is too
There's no
much
one
of
to
a this
judge.
is like a tree falls in the forest kind of thing.
Kind of.
Sure if you want.
But I don't.
if an atom bomb blows up in the forest, do people hear it? Like there's answers to it.
Sound waves still
Right,
exist.
You're
exactly.
right. But okay. I mean, I don't know.
If there's no moral agent to determine whether something is morally right or wrong, can something be right or wrong objectively?
I mean, I would. I don't know. I guess I think yes. I do think yes.
Okay. How did you determine whether that thing was right or wrong without anyone there to determine it?
Without anyone there, it's tough to say the difference. I guess
I'm not asking the difference. I'm just asking how did you determine that something is objectively right or wrong without anyone there to decide?
I mean, I guess body count is the first one, but I don't think that's.
How's going to count the bodies?
In a vacuum, a little
And-
baby Joey pops out of a mushroom in the middle of the forest. How does he make these decisions on morality?
No. Once he's there, it's fine. He can determine it
Can I?
because he's there.
Can I investigate?
I'm just saying it's no one. I'm saying there is no moral agent.
Ah, I see. He is making the determination. At
I
that
guess
point.
in your thought experiment, yes, I would agree that there's no objective morality, but I don't think that's true. I just do think I don't like this notion of like.
You might not like it, but all I'm asking you is if you think that there is such a thing as objectively morally right or wrong, I'm asking what determines it. So in some cases, some people would say God. God says that something is right or wrong, right?
Yeah.
Some people would say,
Obviously, I don't agree there.
well, which is fine. Some people also ultimately just say like utilitarianism. So it's the greatest good ways outweighed. So like 40 lions over 30 lions.
That's what I was saying about body count, but yeah.
Mathematical moral.
right. Just
Yeah.
mathematical.
But I think intention
morality.
does play
That's
an account here.
Okay.
This gets into Noam Chomsky type of stuff and versus. I like this argument because now we're getting into a different topic, but this gets into these thought experiments about collateral damage and body count and
Okay,
intention.
movie.
Was it Schwarzenegger?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead. What?
I
What does
guess-
it get us into?
But basically, Chomsky is kind of the opinion that intention doesn't quite matter. I think, and that like.
Intention doesn't matter.
For
what are you
instance,
talking
like if and he gives the example that this is the argument between him and Sam Harris that they had in our email argument, but he gives the example of Bill Clinton bombing the pharmaceutical factory in Sudan and claiming that because it was responsible for the loss of life as much as 9/11, that he is theoretically as much of a criminal as Osama bin Laden because intention doesn't matter. It's all about body count.
Mm-hmm.
I am of the Sam Harris
The
opinion.
administration says that was an accident, right?
I think so.
I forget the exact, and again, I'm apologize. I forget the exact. They do. I think they cling to that, but and I guess people like Chomsky would say they knew and they had a purposeful.
Well, let's just say they did.
Exactly for this hypothetical experiment. Let's say they did and they were evil. Like
Chomsky
that.
says intention doesn't matter. Sam Harris says that intention does matter.
In that case, yes, I think, but the U.S. intention changes because
Well, just in this situation, right? You're just saying that intention
should matter when we calculate morals. I think, as far as a spectrum, moral spectrum.
Well, no, obviously, if there's that's what I'm talking about.
Is it obvious? I don't know. Is it? A lot of people do not agree with that. A lot of people think that it is just body
No.
count.
I'm not saying that like intention matters. I'm saying that intention is a factor in whether something is right or wrong.
I 100% agree. I'm saying there is a good portion of the left wing right now, a lot, that disagrees with that opinion.
that intention toward something doesn't make a difference?
Correct.
That all that matters is the body count.
Pretty much. I mean, I guess I'm distilling it a little too much, but I mean,
How does intention not factor
basically
in
they would
to
say,
the moral
if I
decision?
can make an example of this, they would say that America's involvement in the Middle East is in equal sin to the terrorism that goes on as a result of it, or something like
Okay,
that.
so let me
For instance, they would say Dick Cheney is an equivalent evil to Osama bin Laden.
okay, and I can understand why they would say that, right? But
He's not?
I don't say that. No, I don't. I think there's a moral spectrum there. I think we have to clearly say that one is they're both shitty and evil. And I would obviously vote against Dick Cheney and all that, but they're not the same. I just don't think Dick Cheney is as evil as Osama because of intention.
I understand. Describe what the intention is.
The intention,
what's wrong with the
I guess
intention?
we're assuming the worst intentions for Dick Cheney is that he wanted to start a war based on his economic interest for Halliburton and all that stuff, where Osama bin Laden wants to kill innocent civilians for his own ideological purpose.
How is
they're both
the Halliburton not the same?
Evil. I also don't quite buy into like 100% that Halliburton was.
Let's just
behind
say
the Iraq War.
just say it was. And in that instance, if the intention is there, right? How is that not an ideological purpose? And is one ideological purpose outweighed by the other?
It's also.
What do you mean? I mean, what? So just the fact that he did it because of religion, and
because
yet
where America go.
I mean, that's coming into a whole nother.
How
issue,
is it different? Yeah,
I
will say, but here's the thing:
I think it's different because of the targeting of civilians and that kind of thing. And what's a civilian?
How did we not target civilians as well in going into Iraq?
I mean, if we're going to say that the bombing was intentional,
we would argue that the civilians were not targeted. They were collateral damage.
But if we already established that the medical facility was,
I'm not arguing for the war in Iraq, by the way. I don't.
I understand. The whole point of this is whether or not intention matters into the.
I just do think it should play a factor. I think you agree.
Of course I agree.
But I'm just making clear that there's a whole huge portion that would disagree with that, I think.
Right, but you haven't made that point as to what they're saying.
Because I disagray with it.
Then why is you making fucking bringing it up? It doesn't make a difference.
I'm trying to be devil's advocate, I suppose.
And you're doing a horrible job at it.
Shit. Okay. All right.
You're not being the devil's advocate.
You're right.
You're being like an angel in disguise.
Maybe it's because maybe it's wrong. Maybe they're wrong. Is that why? I don't know. Maybe that
to say that intention does not factor in
is wrong, boss, or it's just incorrect.
What do you mean is wrong? Sorry, say it again.
So I was saying that their idea that it's just body count,
right? So just pure utilitarianism
is incorrect.
Okay, why do you? You think that is incorrect?
Because I think
you think intention matters.
I do think intention matters,
but you haven't determined why. Like, what is the difference between Dick Cheney and Osama bin Laden?
Intention, because one intends to kill innocent civilians in my mind, and the other one intends to profit.
Okay.
I don't think it's okay. Yeah, this is a tough one because Dick Cheney is really fucking horrible, and I am a left-wing guy.
He shot a guy in the face.
Yeah, he sucks. But he still is not Osama. I don't know. Do you think? Sean, let me just throw it to you because I don't think that they're equal. Let me just say that I think that Dick Cheney is obviously a horror in this world and a war criminal in many ways, and probably should be persecuted. But
why weren't we war criminals when we dropped a nuclear weapon on Japan?
Different. I think that's actually a question of goes back to your. Because we can definitely argue that we saved them a lot of lives by not it's not invading.
We saved a lot of lives
theoretically. That's what history has come to. I'm telling you, there's
the bedtime story we tell ourselves so we can go to sleep at night.
Right. You're correct.
I know. I'm just. I know it's a big jump. I'm just trying to.
I mean, there's a historical debate about this, but I go back and forth a little bit on this because of precedent. The idea of dropping a bomb on someone has a worse precedent for the rest of the future. But you can definitely historically make that argument that the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki forced an otherwise suicidal population. We're talking about Japan. Imperial Japan was fully aware of this full invasion and were willing to give their entire population, very primitive weapons and force them up against our forces, which they calculated would have been literally millions more deaths.
We still targeted civilians, though.
Of course, and I'm not going to ever argue against or for the World War II style war crimes that we did because it was a different morality.
So they were war crimes,
totally. But relative to the time, I would argue they actually probably were somewhat necessary.
It was still a strategic move.
Yes,
that
and in that context of
ultimately
World
isn't-
War II, that was
So
like
again, we're getting back to intention. The
Intention matters, right,
was
exactly.
to kill less people, essentially.
right. I think
So that makes it morally justifiable in your mind.
Right. Ultimately, what I'm saying is the
I'm
body
saying
count,
body
right?
count does matter, but
Well, obviously, body count matters.
but the question is if body count is equal.
No. The question is if
because
intention factors in.
No,
is
exactly. The
question.
question is if body count is equal, intention should play the ultimate deciding factor.
Why? Why can't intention
Or at least
in many ways
a
be
big
more of a factor?
It can. No,
Right.
I would argue with that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No,
Cool.
I would say that's true.
Okay, so but then we'll still back up. So body count, right? I don't think I can even play devil's advocate in that sense, where it's just body count and intention doesn't matter. I really don't think I can. I'm sorry, I can't. Nope.
Yeah.
I don't.
No.
I think intention matters. Look, maybe
Good.
I'm wrong.
I'm glad you say that. I don't like these left wing. We call them regressive.
But why are they? I don't understand. So who is saying this anyway? I don't understand what you're
A lot of
talking
people
about.
on the left wing. They're the
Okay.
they're the leftists of the left, I suppose. But the
Okay.
problem is what they're doing. And the big problem with this, and this is literally an example with Sam Harris and other Bill Maher, is that did you see the Bill Maher episode with Sam Harris and Ben Affleck? Basically, Ben Affleck.
Oh yeah, sure.
Ben Affleck called him gross and racist.
Yeah. Well, he
And-
said that's what he said was
And this
gross
goes back to the
Yeah.
PC argument, and we've talked about this before. But it's the whole thing is like,
which kind of it was a little bit, but go ahead.
you do? You think that? I don't think that. I don't think it was gross.
It was
and racist.
it was a little racist.
What was the comment?
What was racist about it?
What was racist about classifying a group of people as having the so basically what he said.
wasn't classifying
to bring
groups of
everyone
people. He
else
was classifying Islam, an ideology.
That's right.
That's certainly
in. Okay,
a group.
so what I meant by a
it's
class
not.
of people, a
It's
group
not.
of people.
It's an ideology. I don't think it's a specific
It's a group of people who
It's a group of
hold
people
an
who-
ideology.
But it's very varied. And I think when you call them racist for it, doesn't make sense.
Call him racist for
You just said he's a little bit racist.
No, I said what he said
What?
was a little bit racist.
Wait,
and I
what-
now I need
hold
to
on.
right.
What
That's
did
what
he
I'm saying.
say?
I have to go back to what he said.
I
I
will
guess
be the
that's
judge.
probably the thing. Do you remember exactly what he said?
The argument that they're going to say.
Let's say what he said first, if we can remember.
He said that, and the big one is that everyone hates, is that he said Islam is the motherlode of bad ideas. Basically, they were saying that liberalism and being liberal is the
I don't
argument.
remember that being part of it.
It's what he
Or
said.
I know part
No.
of it, but I don't think that was in that particular
He also-
part where he said
No,
that.
he's basically saying Islam is a set of ideology that's
I think what he was saying is
Wrong.
that if I remember correctly,
or has
no, if I remember correctly, what he ultimately said that drew the controversy of whether or not it was gross and racist was that people were downplaying the numbers. In other words, there's an overwhelming majority.
right. The whole
of-
yes, this is the paint with a broad brush is what.
No,
they
no,
call
no,
it.
Just there was an overwhelming majority of people who were good, peaceful Muslims, right?
Right,
And it's just a very small percentage
Right,
of
exactly.
Muslims
That's what I mean.
are the ones who are violent. And Bill Maher was specifying the fact that they are Muslim, right? They are Muslim, and that is what's sort of causing this to do. Whether or not it's radical or whether or not they were peaceful or radical, it ultimately was Muslim, right? It was being Islamic that's causing that. I believe, and I could be misrepresenting it. I probably am in a way. And I would say that's a little bit racist, right? I mean, I would say so, right?
Islam,
No?
is Islam a race?
Racist in the broader sense.
Bigoted.
You think it's bigoted,
Right.
Yeah.
Sean, do you think it's bigoted? You think it's bigoted to criticize a set of ideas?
I think it's bigoted to criticize an entire section of people, if we don't want to call them a group.
Well, here's the thing.
but-
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I want to narrow it down, though.
Okay, go for it.
His whole argument, Sam Harris's argument, is you have to recognize the connection between belief and action, or doctrine and action. And if you don't, then if you can't if you can't see that, then it's a big problem. And what you're going to be doing is simply just you're shutting down the conversation, and you're calling anyone who criticizes that doctrine racist. And that's the big problem with going back to these leftists. We kind of got a little track, but I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sean. That's kind of what I meant. Is like the whole connection between belief and action.
I mean, based on that, then we need more words. There just aren't enough classifications to have this conversation appropriately. We, as and then we see that all as just the other. And so I have just as hard of a time seeing all Islam as being at fault as I do seeing all Christianity being at fault for the KKK.
And I don't think Sam Harris would say that all Islam is the fault. No, he's
Of
just
course not.
tying it. Right. I think he's tying.
He'll say that there is a big problem in the doctrine in the Quran. He'll point to issues. He'll do.
Well,
he'll
obviously, but
criticize.
the question is what is the justification of the Quran or the Bible in that instance as a moral agent?
From my understanding,
Well,
and
a lot of people,
Or not as a moral agent, you know
millions
what
of
I'm
people believe that it is the ultimate moral agent.
Right. But what is their justification in saying so?
But I
It's
don't
God's word.
I don't believe that stuff is actually part of the Quran. Most of that stuff is part of the doctrine of these individual sections of Islamic faith. It is again.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. It's not.
Wait a minute. How do we get back on religion?
I don't know. We took a
'Cause
big
You
big
fucking
turn.
took us
Yeah, we
there. Is
let
what you
Joey
did.
start
Yeah,
talking.
Joey jumped in. he's
Oh, we can bring it
he's
back.
like intention matters, and then here's religion.
I'm sorry. Well,
Yeah.
well, the question
No,
was
it's
okay.
fine.
So-
It's okay.
The question was about killing. I think if we can bring it back, it was like is the whole morality of killing, and we
Right.
we were supposed to be talking about food.
Mhm.
Well, I understand where we.
But I mean, no, I'm saying.
We all know how the train got off the tracks.
Okay, I was trying to.
Well,
Just 'cause we
pun,
threw
sir.
that,
That's because we
switch
threw
there.
the switch.
Yeah.
We threw the switch.
I was trying to
fucking
retrace my
So-
steps. I suppose.
the point ultimately to really bring it back,
Yeah.
right, is that you were saying intention does matter. Of
Right.
course, that's obvious. I would say it's relatively obvious, right? So, is there anything because I haven't heard that argument you were saying from the other side is what you were trying to explain is how is intention not a factor?
Have you heard of people that say America is just as bad of a criminal as other terrorists? Is the greatest? Have you heard of?
I haven't.
Have
no.
you heard of liberals say America is the biggest terrorist of all?
I think I've said that.
Vaguely, maybe.
There's
I
a
guess?
lot of people who say that.
Okay.
Sean,
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I mean, the things that we do in the name of our country have been just as bad as what other countries are doing to us. I mean, if we think about 9/11, our big call to arms, 3,000 people. I mean, if we're going to look at just body count there, that's absolutely nothing compared to what we've done to other countries, compared to what we've done to ourselves. I mean, if we go back to rounding up the Japanese in World War II, if we go into the Tuskegee experiments, if we go into all of the, false flag admitted operations that have put us in situations that we could further our own interests. It's very much America turning a blind eye to our own horrors that we have bestowed upon this world. I mean, just because slavery was more than 200 years ago, we kind of wash our hands of it. But
that's part of it.
There are countries that are 200 years behind us economically and technologically and emotionally, and we condemn them for the very things that we did daily, for the very things that we held in esteem, for the very things that we fought and went to war to keep. And so to say that we are inherently better than all of these other countries that commit atrocities,
Right, I think it's
I
insane.
mean, just the atom bomb itself is so horrific to, just decide to wipe out that many innocent people.
Okay.
You can't compare that to anything else that any other country has done.
So Sean has heard of it. So what is the point, though?
I guess the point is, if you have to, when it comes to relativism, moral relativism.
Okay. I don't think we're okay.
Why not? We're talking about judging.
Talking about utilitarianism, not necessarily.
Well, he's talking about
relativism.
America, and we're talking about judging cultures, I suppose, or nations in terms of morals.
I'm saying, how is intention? What is the argument that intention is not a factor in the moral decision?
The argument is that no matter that kind of what Sean just put out, and that even though America had good intentions in a lot of those situations, it caused probably a shitload of harm.
But you factored in the intentions.
I agree, but there's a lot of people that do not. I think
But
that's
you're
all
trying
I'm
to
saying.
I'm trying to understand what they're saying.
Well,
though.
They're
I
saying
think
that.
the-
They're saying that America is just as bad as every other country that commits terrorism because they have the same body
But that
count.
has nothing to do with intent.
No,
He's not saying anything about intention.
I
though.
think the crux of the argument is
Right.
factoring in the difference between good intentions with bad outcomes and bad intentions with good outcomes, and I
true.
I don't think that it's something that is. Again, I just don't think we have the words to establish what is the actual argument there. There is.
I don't know. I honestly don't hear it. I don't hear the argument at all. Intention always plays a factor. I don't know how it can.
No,
I
I think intention versus outcome and playing a part in your judgment of that.
Certainly, that's the whole point. That's how you determine the morality.
Right, but good intentions versus bad outcomes and good intentions versus good outcomes. I don't think anyone is even factoring in bad intentions.
Oh, sure. What is a bad intention?
And that gets back to moral relativism and what is moral. Again,
right.
I mean, when you, it's all a matter of perspective.
Well, okay. So
if we're going to ask Osama bin Laden if he had bad intentions, he's going to.
Let me
say
ask you
no.
guys a question: is well-being a thing that we can all agree upon as us here? Is well-being of each individual?
Mankind.
Is that something that we value, that we can ascribe value to?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, sure. Well,
okay.
I mean,
that's okay if you don't. But I'm just asking: can we ascribe value to well-being?
You mean like a monetary value?
No, value, intrinsic value to well-being.
Just that it matters? Yeah. Well-being.
Not that it matters. Value specifically. The fact that it matters is just, that makes it just as much a factor of intention. I'm talking about value.
When you say value, that makes me think that it's quantifiable, which that I can't agree with.
No, I don't know if it's quantifiable.
Okay.
I'm not suggesting it's quantifiable.
Okay.
I don't think it's possible to quantify it.
There is a benefit. I would certainly agree with that.
A benefit to well-being. How's there a benefit? But you're not willing to say that there's a value to it.
We
have to determine what value is.
Yeah.
Okay. What do I mean by value? It taking it away from any individual would be a bad thing.
For me?
Period.
I'm sorry. Well-being?
Yes,
we're talking
well-being.
Yeah.
Do we mean physical or mental?
Both.
Both. Okay.
General well-being.
So, bringing this back to food.
What? Why are you taking us anywhere?
We're
going somewhere.
Sorry,
we're going somewhere with this.
But to me, let me try to. I don't know. Maybe this will take you guys somewhere.
We're headed somewhere. What are you talking about? I'm asking. What I'm trying to determine, right, is whether or not well-being is of worth. And then once you can determine whether or not well-being has worth, then you can start to determine whether or not the moral decisions behind something are good or bad by the way you've affected well-being, because we've agreed upon the value of well-being.
Okay, yeah,
That's where I'm
I
going.
agree. And I was trying to make a specific example about meat, and that
Okay, sure.
Go for it.
What do
I
you
think
got?
that eating a steak can be bad for your physical well-being
Okay.
and great for your mental well-being.
Okay.
So, isn't that making a moral judgment right there about what well-being is more important, or
What about the well-being of the cow? I mean, if you're trying to weigh them all, then you've added the
You're right.
physical well-being.
I
that's
clearly
detrimental.
haven't added that because I don't care about the cow.
Why?
Because I'm a horrible person.
Okay, so then you're then you have no moral implications into this.
I don't think I'm a horrible person. I'm just here. I don't know. I don't care about the cow because I'm not doing the action. This gets back to
Do you think the cow cares about the cow?
I don't think the cow knows. The cow's pretty stupid, but maybe the cow does care about the cow, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the cow. I would say that the cow
It cares about its own life, I
right.
guess.
I don't think the cow wants to die, and I think that the cow
it doesn't have a
worse off.
concept of life and death.
It doesn't have a concept of life and death.
I don't think so.
Well, it won't know that it's dead once it's dead, sure. But I think if you, then why does it eat?
Oh, genetics.
What do you mean genetics? It's just instinctively eats. It's just a machine that kind of eats things.
Yeah.
Aren't we?
Yeah.
So then why is man different than a cow?
I would argue we're not.
Okay.
We're a little smarter. We have moral. We talked about this, right?
We're moral agents.
Yeah, we're moral agents.
We're moral agents.
I'm still not
think
convinced
so.
the cow doesn't have morality.
You're not convinced the cow does not have
I think
morality.
so too.
Well, I'm not saying the cow doesn't have morality. I'm saying that there is evidence that humans are moral agents. We don't have evidence that other animals aren't. And so since that and more importantly, that almost plays no factor into it, necessarily speaking, because we are a sort of society, not even fuck the society.
We are the ones judging ourselves.
Right, we're the ones judging, so we can decide whether we do something right or wrong. I mean, if a cow, if a bunch of cows want to kill a bunch of cows, who are we to say that the cows are fucking, doing anything wrong?
We can't know the cow's opinion, so it doesn't matter.
Right, exactly. We can't speak to them, so we just don't
Intention
know.
matters.
So
obviously,
with the cows,
intention clearly matters.
Well, yeah. Does the cow matter? Does the cow care about her intentions? Does the cow care if we're going to eat it or not? No, it just cares if it's dying. But
it does care.
Well, I assume it feels pain at the very least, but yeah,
pain. There we go. Okay, pain. Okay, so should we limit the amount of pain that an animal goes through when you kill it?
That feels like a good idea.
Okay.
I don't know that that's necessarily a requirement.
Is it too much to say that we should limit the pain all the way to 0? In other words, you should not kill it, period.
Oh, no. I mean, painless death is certainly, a worthy goal, I guess. But
is any death painless?
Yeah, I think we got some of that.
Yeah.
There's a
I don't know.
painless death? I don't know if that's possible.
Or at least, well, I mean, it's, again, hard to
isn't
quantify.
That's
we'd have to send someone over there. But
for any human, though.
No,
but I just mean, I don't think that there's a difference in the actual physical pain.
From what I understand, the cocktail for
I guess you're
prisoners
right.
is pretty humane.
Yeah, that's right. If you become completely
painless,
numb and then fall asleep, there won't be any pain,
if it's quick enough. I mean, a bullet to the head is arguably going to stop everything quick enough to alleviate any pain.
Sure.
There's also, enough morphine, and you could possibly make a cow numb enough to not feel that.
Right.
So
if anything, to feel good going out.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to do anything. Just keep giving it morphine until it goes away.
Okay.
And that's, a pleasant death, quite possibly.
Sure.
So at that point, does it matter?
So we haven't heard its well-being.
Yeah.
As in the way we've defined well-being.
It enjoyed dying.
Right.
If I can throw a Jewy thing in here.
Okay.
Being kosher actually has a lot to do with this. If the animal suffers in any way, it has to be killed a certain way to be kosher.
Right.
And especially they go to great lengths and for the time, slitting its throat in the specific artery was the fastest way to kill it. They didn't have those cow shooters like No Country for Old Men kind of shit. So they thought that was the most painless way. So I think it's interesting to note that we do have that embedded in our system, whether it's from religion or tribal. We definitely have that. Cause the least pain possible.
Well,
I've also heard arguments though that actually makes the quality improved. So by not forcing adrenaline through the body of the thing you're about to eat before you consume it makes it a more tasty meal by being looser and more flavorful.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that too. Yeah.
So we haven't figured out if it is wrong to kill or not.
Oh,
you're still not convinced that it's wrong to kill.
Oh, certainly not.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just. I mean, like I said, I've made this point before, but it is the basis of life is death.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that's alive is alive because something else died.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the continued way of organisms. That is how carbon becomes organic matter and stays organic matter, is by perpetuating that cycle of life and death.
But if our option is there otherwise, and we should try
We're
to
killing
limit
something regardless.
I don't think you're killing a plant. I think I don't know this because I've tried to have that. I've used that same argument, but I just don't know the answer. I think that you're taking. I don't think you're killing the root of the plant. The plant is still alive. It'd be the equivalent of eating your arm, but you would grow an arm back. I guess I think that's
if you eat an
closer
apple,
analogy.
You're eating some seed. I mean, you're not eating a seed.
Right, it'd be the equivalent.
It's like an abortion or something like that. You know what I mean? Like you're not letting it perpetuate its species.
No, it's just the ovum of the plant itself. But it's going to grow another one.
Totally, but I mean, like
you're not killing the root.
You could.
It's going to fall too.
If you
by
eat
the way,
sunflower seeds, if you eat sunflower seeds, that's a seed. Right?
So it's okay.
Yeah, but you're still not killing the root. No, it's not. No. It's a closer analogy would be it's okay to eat the egg of
it's an egg, like a chicken egg.
Like a chicken egg.
Yeah, and there's many people that would argue that's a bad thing.
I don't think so. I don't think there's one person. Vegans eat egg.
No, they
Oh, you know
don't.
what? They
No,
don't. I'm sorry. You're right, because it's
No
any
animal
animal
product.
product.
No,
Yeah.
they don't use
It's any animal. No, yes, it's any animal product.
It might not be because of the killing thing, but it's
Yeah, 'cause,
more
like,
for, like
it's animals are forced to-
cruelty.
yeah,
and,
Maybe,
living
yeah,
in
sure.
cages
Yeah,
and-
that probably makes more sense. But either way, I'm still saying my point is that when you're not killing the plant in order to eat it. You're eating a part of the plant.
Not all of them, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just saying in that let's just presuppose that we have the option to not kill anything to eat. Is that not a better way of life?
Do you mean like killing off, like chopping off like a sheep's limb and eating a lamb chop or something?
No, of course
But
not.
but leaving it
I'm
alive?
no, obviously not.
Yeah, I mean, we can live on salamander tails.
Sure, that's fine. The distinction I'm making is that you're not killing anything when you're eating a plant.
Again, it depends on the plant, though. So your example of apples, sure,
Right.
but carrots, potatoes, lettuce, arugula,
Right.
asparagus, all of the real vegetables or vegetation, you are killing that to harvest it, and then you're going to grow it again. It's a very small portion of our diet that we actually get from perennials, from things that will keep coming back.
Isn't it still sort of self-sustaining though? Like it's still. I guess it's a
So
different
are
organism,
animals.
right?
I mean,
Yeah, I guess that's true. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, but
it's a question of life. Do you think that the life of a plant is equal to the life of an animal?
Is life
right? Is life across
Is
the
all life
board?
equal?
How do you? Right.
That is my
Is all
argument.
life
Like, I
equal?
don't have a problem with killing animals, and I don't really see that as much different than killing plants.
Right. Or humans, though you said as well. Which is fine. How do you determine when killing something is wrong? That's what I'm asking you. Because you've said that there are some or you know what? Just tell me.
I mean, human is a whole other thing. That is a legal system. That is, further ramifications. There are other things in that decision. If we're going to talk about this idea of morality, which I'm still not sure exists, the idea of
what? Okay. What? No, we got to go there. What do you mean you're not sure morality exists?
It's.
I think what you meant was there's no objective morality,
exactly.
but there are still moral actions that can be determined whether they're right or wrong.
No,
right?
That's the thing.
Got it. Okay.
Individuals. I can determine what is morally right for me. I can determine what I think is a good thing, what I think is a bad thing. But my morality is not your morality. And those things will never be 100% in alignment. So to say that there is this overlying morality, to say that there is morality, we can, as a society, decide that one thing is good or one thing is bad. That is essentially a tyranny of the gut instincts of majority. That is, enough people feel in their heart, their gut, that this is a bad thing.
So this
without
is moral
empirical
relativism.
evidence, without a God, without something to judge us and say that yes, no, then it is up to every individual in that society to make their own judgment based on their experience and what they know the situation to be. Okay. So that is morality to me. Morality is the most educated, calculated decision you can make at any given time, but that is not intrinsic to
How do you
humanity.
calculate that?
Based on the amount of information that you have or whatever you can access.
Okay.
So, if I'm walking down the street, someone comes running at me with a knife.
Sure.
That's a pretty easy judgment for me to make. If it's me or him, I'm going to either fight or, run or try and take him down, whatever it is. Self-defense is a very easy use of or justification for killing someone. But it's not something that is intrinsic.
No. Yeah, sure. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I lost it.
Sorry, man. It's not something that is intrinsic. It is not just wrong. It's not just wrong that, or not. It's not objectively, quote unquote, right that you killed him.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But in that instance, you made the determination that it was morally justified.
Exactly.
Justifiable to kill him.
And in his perspective, he might have been morally justified in his actions in that he never intended to actually kill me. He just needed to scare me into giving him enough money so that he could feed his starving child.
Mm-hmm.
He is morally justified in his mind to take those actions.
Right.
Yeah.
He might not be correct.
That's the thing. I don't think there's a correct.
No. Well, here's the question, right? His moral action was to charge at you with a knife, right? What went into that fact? What went into that to doing that? What went into that action? What were his decisions to going into that?
Well, like I said, he poor, no other way, needs money. Robbing people is the easiest way to get money to feed his starving child. This is the last resort. He's tried everything else.
Right. So he didn't. What he did was charge you with a knife, right?
Right, but that is...
And in the instance that we're really talking about is not the fact that he charged you with a knife. The instance that we're talking about is you killing him and whether or not you were morally justified in killing him. If you just ran away, right, would he be morally right?
I don't quite understand the
or
question.
wrong. So the real thing that happened that we have to determine whether it was right or wrong was you killing him.
Okay.
Right? That's the action. And now he could say that you were wrong in killing him and you could say that you were right. He would not be correct because we can take a look at the entire scenario and each one of us in this situation, the three of us, we can gather 100 more people and we can talk about it and we can determine it. We can do that. We can have all the information that was right or wrong. He might think that, along with 50 other people might think that, like, no, you still weren't correct in killing him because, because you didn't have all the information. And then 100 other people would say, well, what, was he supposed to wait and ask the guy with the knife charging at him? We can determine whether or not it was right or wrong as a group. I'm not suggesting that it's inherently right or wrong, but I'm saying you can evaluate the situation and we can come to a conclusion as to whether or not it was right or wrong.
I still feel like without a God in the equation, it can't be that binary. I don't know that there is.
No, it's not. It wouldn't be binary. You're right. It is a scale where it's like it's not just right or wrong. It could be like it's understandable, but it doesn't
pros
feel
than
right
cons or something. There's more harm than good.
I guess that's my problem with just the use of the term morality.
Okay,
that feels very yes or no. That feels very we're either with you or we're against you,
okay.
And that is the only way to go. The judgments or the decisions that are made on the individual basis are only able to be affected by what you perceive to be the information that you have. So,
but we can others can look at that and you can tell us it's not just you. We can ask you and we can ask the other guy and we can still examine the situation.
Right, but there's no way to quantify that. There's no way to.
I don't know if there's no way to quantify it. Right? We in that instance, we all can agree that you were morally justified in your actions.
Yeah, we can.
Whether or not it was right or wrong, I'm not saying it was right or wrong, but you were morally justified, and thus you didn't do anything "quote unquote" wrong.
And I guess that's my argument is that even if we all agree that it was a moral decision, I don't necessarily think that makes that moral.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. I 100% agree with you.
That's
it does not make it just right or wrong, but we all agree that it was wrong in that instance. And we could be wrong. You're right. We could be wrong. I don't think that we are, and I don't think in most cases we would be. In the same situation that we wouldn't be able to make a determination if there were no moral agents to make that determination. All the moral agents involved can be wrong.
Yeah, and morality is just individual ideas. Like I said, I just don't think there can be a group morality. I don't think that there can be a populace with a single moral compass.
No, there can't be. I don't think so either.
Even the golden rule?
All right. But again, what are the determining factors that go into the decision whether or not it's okay to kill something?
That's.
Sorry, there's a fly.
Was that an example?
It was a great joke. Nobody? Okay.
Just confusing.
Sorry, that didn't play well.
That's a visual gag, sir.
Yeah, I know. I tried to hit the table. I thought it would. I don't know.
It sounded scary.
I guess I could have like gone like that or something.
Yeah,
that
would have been a little bit.
You should have been.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got to get some Foley.
I'm learning. What do you want from me? How do you determine whether something is when to kill something? How do you determine when to kill something?
Joey?
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, Joey. When do you kill things, Joey?
Because I've already said that.
What do you
we can
murder?
Kill anything.
I don't.
No. I just said when do you kill them? I want to know when.
When don't you?
Okay, cool. I'll answer that. But go ahead, Joey.
I guess if we bring this to the animal kingdom, the only things I really kill are like pests, like flies and mosquitoes. There you go. You were saying it. So if they seem to me that they're not causing me any good at all, but then again, I won't kill a spider in my house because supposedly they eat other bugs, is what everyone says. But
that's the good that they're serving you.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I mean. But I don't kill them.
Indentured servitude.
Yeah, right.
But I don't.
So
have
something's serving you.
But I don't have a problem. Like I'm not like scared of killing a spider. Like I would totally kill one if there was like
I totally kill a spider, guys.
I just want that letting be known.
I swear to God, I kill a spider. Okay, you don't even know how hard I am.
If there was a girl here and she was screaming
I'd kill
like
the
about
shit
a
out of
spider,
the spider.
I would kill it. I'd kill it.
Okay, so you kill things only in the instance when they're not serving you in some way, shape, or form.
True. I mean, that's super selfish, but I guess I'm also
asking.
taking way, into account that I don't care about mosquitoes' lives at all. I don't think they have any concept of anything at all.
Well, no,
So
sure, it's fine.
Is consciousness the deciding factor then?
A little bit. Yeah, kind of.
So what about fish?
I don't eat
It's okay to eat fish because they don't have any feelings.
Actually, I don't eat fish, but that's just because I don't like the taste of fish. Yeah, I think I think it's definitely going to scale. Like I won't eat. I would never eat it.
Yeah, that's good.
I would never eat a dolphin or a whale.
Why?
The idea creeps me out. I don't know.
Okay, but so you would, you just don't want to.
What is the distinction?
I wouldn't.
Right. Yeah.
Mammalian?
What's your moral distinction?
Yeah, I think it's
nipples.
It's like it's the closest you get to a human. I think that's the deal. The closer you get to me, the creepier it gets.
I'm still not opposed to eating human.
Yeah, really. Where's your moral compass, sir? You have no...
I'm pretty sure you'd be delicious. Man.
Sean is being more moral than
I
you.
would certainly not be
How
delicious.
Is that the case? At least he has a justification behind it. You're like, I don't like things that are. I don't want to kill things that are like me.
True. It's so selfish.
It is.
You realize how
It's
selfish
arbitrary.
all of these views are, but it's true.
Okay, it's fine. So you said when is it not okay to kill?
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like,
Okay.
everyone kind of comes at it from the perspective of the idea of the question, when is it okay to kill?
Sure.
That presupposes that it's not okay to kill.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think that's so.
Okay.
That is.
I was going with limiting the detriment to well-being is the starting point there.
Okay. I mean,
If
we're-
nobody
are we-
cares,
are
if
we
nobody
talking about-
cares if something dies, right? Then you haven't hurt anything by killing it. But if
Except
one
that.
person cares, huh?
really, it's the person
If
that
one
cares.
thing cares, if one thing cares,
So, like, if you kill a homeless person that
Mhm.
has no ties to anything,
Mhm.
they live a mile into
Sure.
the woods and they live off of
the homeless person
berries.
cares whether they live or die. Though
Right.
the homeless
So
person has a
isn't
say
that,
in that.
isn't that intrinsic to anything you kill?
Yes, I think so. Perhaps. I mean, that's the problem.
What if the homeless person wants to die?
Then it's fine, right? Then he wants to die.
You're cool with murdering a homeless guy if he asks you to kill him?
I'm cool with murdering a homeless guy if he asks me to kill him. That's
Yeah.
your question?
Yeah.
Cool? What do you mean by cool?
I guess this is
you're willing to.
Am I
participate.
morally okay with it? No, I'm not willing to participate. Am I morally opposed to it? No, I don't think that
No?
there's anything wrong with it.
So you're
if
cool
that's
with,
what he
you're
wants.
Okay, you're okay with assisted suicide, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But
As long as you're not doing the dirty work.
No. Not as long. Yeah, but basically, yeah. I mean, from a moral standpoint, I have I don't see a problem with it. I
Right.
don't want to do it. I don't want to kill anybody. I don't want to kill anything.
so if I'm just depressed tomorrow, I can say I want to kill myself and Kevorkian can come and kill me?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't have a problem with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Sure.
But people are temporarily depressed and they can come out of it and stuff like that.
There's a lot of fucking
Well,
people. out
once
there.
again, there's an entire.
Maybe they just need a
we
little
did an
therapy
entire
or something.
fucking podcast on this
Yeah, we've
exact
done a lot of
topic,
that.
Shit.
the very first one. But we can go back there. But either way, the question that you're asking me is when is it not okay? And I'm saying when it's limiting well-being in any way, shape, or form, we need to start to evaluate what is going into that decision. That's the thing. So if you just want to kill a homeless person, that homeless person has a right to his life. The reason that he has a right to his life ultimately is, as I said in the very first podcast, we own ourselves, right? We are our own autonomous moral agents. Not even moral agents, just we have an ownership of ourselves. Now the question, of course, is how are we granted that? Why do we have ownership over ourselves? I don't know that I have an answer to that. I think ultimately it's
Again, I feel like that's an assumption. Why?
Yeah, it is a presupposition. I am presupposing that we own ourselves.
And do we own ourselves more so than a kangaroo?
No.
So a kangaroo has the same amount of, we'll say, consciousness and morality?
Yes. Well, consciousness, I'm not sure I can agree with you there. Well, yeah, I guess consciousness. Yeah, it's a sentient being.
Okay.
Yeah, it's equally sentient to a human.
But not the same consciousness.
No, I don't think so. But I don't know. But I don't think so. I would strongly doubt it.
Yeah.
But I think it has just as much life in it as a human.
But you are a carnivore.
Oh, I'm fucking starving. I want a hamburger so bad.
So why is that okay then? What's your moral justification? You've established that you are unwilling to kill yourself. Would you or would you ever kill an animal for your sustenance?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Okay.
No, have I? No. I
Okay.
have not.
Okay.
I would.
You would.
I would.
So if beyond force, so you would be willing to, wring the neck of a chicken, pluck it, and eat it for dinner.
Why am I doing that? Do I have other options?
Yes.
Then no. I would not do it if I have
Okay.
other options.
What would drive you to that point?
Having no options. If the chicken is the only thing that would keep me alive.
So even in a situation where you were, let's say, you're just stuck in the woods somewhere, you're isolated, whatever it is, there is other food, there is, plants around that you could eat.
Okay.
But, they're not very tasty, and there are chickens around. They don't happen to be laying eggs. You could continue to
Or a pig. We can go pig, make it a little harder if you want. Because the
Lord of
chicken,
the
you're right,
Flies.
the egg thing. Yeah, right, piggy, exactly. Because it does make it a little harder on me.
Right. Yeah. But
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
is the pig makes it harder? Oh, just physically
For
to
most
actually
people
do it.
in general.
Yeah, no,
but
for
sure,
sure.
you can go the chicken. It's fine. We
Yeah,
can
I
stick
mean,
with the
whatever
chicken.
it is there a point where you would choose to be a killer, a carnivorous animal, even though you do have an abundance of something else you can survive off
Right,
of?
like in other words, it's just like edamame, just like fields of edamame, and there's that
Exactly.
one chicken. I can't have another fucking edamame bean.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's probably a point where I would kill the chicken.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Joey?
there is.
Yeah, I'd kill a chicken.
Like, he
would
would've
you do it
killed it
before
in the
that
first
though?
time.
Have you ever killed an animal for?
No. I've actually been offered to go hunting, and I've turned it down. No, I'm not comfortable doing it myself, which is kind of hypocritical. I recognize the hypocrisy there of me like being able to eat anything I want and not being willing to hunt anything. I think there's something to be said there about like I'm unwilling to do the deed, and I want someone else to do the dirty deed for me.
Right. Well, and also to clarify what I was saying earlier, I do not think I would have been acting morally in that instance, but I would do it because I'm a selfish fuck. But I would. But I don't think I would be acting morally. That's the toughest distinction. Is that no? I don't think it's moral to kill an animal for your sustenance in this morality sense, right? Of course, we need to kind of figure out the moral thing.
Is there also
that being said, I'm probably going to eat a hamburger on the way home.
Exactly. Yeah. So is it?
And I will be hypocritical in doing so. Yeah. But I don't have a justification.
I get you.
I don't have I don't. Other than the fact that it's tasty and I like it. And
is
I want
there?
it.
I mean, there's another aspect here. I mean, that's just kind of a modern one, but
Yeah,
obviously the climate change one, like the idea that like every hamburger where we eat from McDonald's is like worse than a SUV or something like that. Obviously, I'm extrapolating this hard.
Sure.
But, you know, I'm
The methane.
saying,
you mean?
yeah, exactly. And not just that, I think it's the deforestation, obviously, and where they, you know.
Just the whole idea of factory farming.
Factory farming in general. I mean, are you okay being a part of that, I guess? And
I don't know. I'm not okay being a
I'm
part
not
of
okay
that.
with it either, but there's like almost like nothing I can do. It's maybe there is. Maybe we should all.
Well, there is. You can not eat meat.
You could not eat meat. Exactly. We could all boycott it, but
Right.
we're all just too.
Or you can eat specific meat because it's
Right.
to me, it
Free
gets back to that
range or
whole
whatever.
sustainability thing.
Right.
It's
Yeah, exactly.
The idea that, you know, the reason that factory farms are bad is because they are unsustainable in the long term of humanity. It is just not a good idea. It is something that is driven by profit margins. But if we were to have a system that was efficiently able to feed the world, I don't necessarily have a problem with that being a corporately driven system. I mean, people talk about Monsanto and GMOs, which I certainly understand is scary, and I'm not a huge fan of a lot of what they do. But it's, you know, without what they have done, vast portions of this planet would be hungry.
Right.
What they've been able to do with the genetic engineering of the plants that they have created and have patented is be able to make a small portion of land be able to feed many more people than it ever could with any other farming methods we've ever used.
Right.
So it is vastly efficient, and it's enough to sustain a world population, but not for the long term without detrimental effects.
What are the detrimental effects?
One of the biggest things is just the shrinking of the genome. So, you know, we used to have hundreds of different species or genetic codes of corn.
Mm-hmm.
Now every piece of corn is essentially a twin. They're all pretty much genetic, copies of everything else.
Why is that a bad thing?
Genetic diversity. I
Okay.
mean, you know, just the idea that, so getting into corn. First off, when you are going with like the Monsanto stuff and you have a gene that is in your corn, when that is patented and copywritten, that is something that can then get into the other farms around it. So now those farmers that didn't want to be part of this system are now actually forced into that because the corn that they are harvesting to use for their seeds for the next year now has this Monsanto gene as part of it. So there's no way to divorce themselves of it. But then Monsanto comes over and they test it and say that, oh, our genes are in your corn. We now own that corn. You have to pay us royalties essentially for what you're growing there. So that's a whole big ball of
It
bullshit.
sounds like okay.
But the more long-term effect is that by having a monoculture, when something inevitably arises that is outside of that, it's going to be detrimental to everything. It's like the idea of the super virus and all
Okay,
these.
there we go.
Yeah. So we're talking about like the hand wash stuff that sanitizing hand cleaner stuff. So like that mixed with the idea of all of the antibiotics that are constantly in hospitals, you're creating an environment where yes, you're killing everything, but then you're allowing those very small things that would have been competed out of existence to flourish. And so you're basically, once that happens, once we open things up to everything being exactly the same, once there is one virus or one entity that figures out how to exploit that, the entire thing collapses.
Okay.
So yes,
So it's dangerous. It's whatever. It's ultimately detrimental to them.
it was a long-winded way of saying, look at the royal families and look at what happens with interbreeding. Interbreeding is always a bad idea. Look at dogs. Doesn't turn out well.
Got it. Okay. So is genetically modifying food okay? Ultimately, then, I mean, in the long run, if the answer is no, then is it okay for the short term?
I think it's okay as long as we have some regulation in place to prevent some of that problems that he's talking about with genetic and homogeny, that kind of stuff. And it's absolutely right. I think it has to do with more recently with Chipotle and E. coli.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of topical stuff here because it's happening a lot, which is strange because we have so much regulation and the EPA and Food and Drug Administration. But it seems like that every new month we have a different thing, and I think this does actually. Antibiotics is one he kind of talked about, but it's a big one. It's because we keep feeding all the cows antibiotics, then we keep eating it ourselves, and it's just like. That's really what's going to cause this, because when we talk about diseases that kill humans, we're talking about bacterial viruses.
Those are two different things.
You're right. Sorry, bacteria. Well, actually, that's not completely true. Actually, there's some that are caused by both. But you're right. I'm sorry. Like
an illness can be caused by both, but a bacteria and a virus are two different things.
I'm sorry.
It's like a plant and an animal, essentially.
Right.
No, you're right. Of course, I'm confused.
Of course, I'm right.
Anyways, but my point is that it's the same. It's the same thing. You're developing, whatever antibodies. For
should we be eating the Monsanto kind of foods, regardless of the regulations being in place? And
we don't have a choice. I don't think
we don't have a choice.
Well, I guess we have some choice, but there's not.
We can eat animals.
Well, we also have to decide.
We can live off the grid and.
We do have to decide what we want to allow as far as the manipulation of these genomes. So there is, people make the argument that we've been toying with the genome since we started farming, and we've been, selectively breeding plants and making things better and worse and whatnot. Yes, that is true, but that is not what Monsanto is doing. That is not what these people are doing with genetic modification. They are actually taking genomes from other species, other animals even, and splicing them into a pre-existing genome for some other thing. So they take things like a piece of a genome from a squid, and they inject that into the corn, and now all of a sudden...
Now I have a squid corn.
Now it shoots black ink.
It shoots black ink from the corn.
Usually it's about like getting rid of funguses and things that grow
We also
on
get seedless watermelon. That's a good thing, right? I mean, there's some. I don't know.
Why is it a good thing?
I don't like seeds.
Yeah.
Wait, actually, just your own.
I don't think that's a genetic modification. I think that's just not pollinating.
Yeah, actually, that's true.
That's how we get seedless oranges, is they just don't pollinate.
Okay.
Yeah.
I assume
Fine.
watermelon's the same thing, but I can't.
I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually a genetic thing. I thought that they found they did that recently,
it's
20 years ago or something.
It's like artificial breeding, but it's not. It's definitely not genetic modification.
That is
I don't believe
that is
no,
genetic modification is artificial breeding.
See, that is the clarification I'm trying to make.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't necessarily see the distinction.
The distinction is that through all of the breeding programs, if we were just to cross-pollinate things, I could never, ever get a squid to mate with corn to produce that genome. But I could inject that from something else. And that's where the unforeseen problems come from.
Right.
That's when this idea, this culture that we live in of instant marketability of everything, it's something that trickled down from tech into our food supply. The idea that we will just release this and then we'll find out the problems from the beta testers, which are our customers, and they'll tell us what's wrong. So we found a way to make this genome reject fungus. Oh, great. Let's put that out to the market immediately. That is something that, we can't know what that's going to happen 50 years down the line when that gets bred into the corn that is around everyone else. That is, the native strains of corn, if there's even any left. So, it's just something that is unknowable that we are unleashing, essentially.
It reminds me of the argument that Jeff Goldblum makes in Jurassic Park with chaos theory. And he puts a little drop of water on the woman's hand and goes one way or the other.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Life finds a way.
Finds a way.
Right. And so, I mean, the big problem there was they mixed the frog DNA in where they didn't have everything from the dinosaurs.
They're mating on their own.
Exactly. See, unforeseen circumstances. I mean, that's just the big GMO argument. I mean, I see it from both sides.
What's the other side then?
Well, the other side is that we would not have the world population that we do without the genetically modified organisms. We wouldn't have been able to grow as much corn on that small
thing?
Well, that's a whole other thing, though. I don't know that. I don't necessarily subscribe to the fact that we should be down to 500,000, but there's probably too many people. And then, is that a moral question? Are we morally
obligated to control our own population?
Exactly. Yeah, as much as we control the deer, are we the baddies?
China's China just reversed their one-child policy.
They went to two, right?
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. They're talking about, and they said that was actually one of the worst things they've ever done. They realized that one-child policy was the worst thing. They screwed up an entire generation.
Yeah.
No, it's just
I mean,
interesting. Like they try to control their own population, and you're right. It's kind of the unforeseen consequences. They
What were
screwed-
the unforeseen consequences? Why was it so bad? What happened that was so bad?
tons. Well, the population of males versus females is kind of out of control.
Oh, right, of course.
Because-
Because it's like
yeah,
more
so-
valuable, basically.
Exactly.
To have.
So,
Right.
you know, with technology, people were able to get abortions when they found out they were having girls. But
right.
prior to that, it would just be, I mean, literally stomping the head of, you know, the
baby.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There were also, you know, it forced implementation or actually policing of these things.
Right.
So, you know, okay, you can only have one child, but what happens when they have two?
Right.
You got to send someone over there and collect. I mean, you know, that's an entire psychological manipulation of your countrymen as well.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, there are some stories of, you know, people that were the second child that were hidden their whole life, you know, like an Anne Frank type thing where they're, you know, in the closets every time the police come over and things like that. And, you know, that's the success story. That's the good people that got away with it.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, I'm sure there's way more ramifications than that, but it is certainly detrimental to the psyche. Again, getting to that, the population distribution, the males versus females, apparently that's a huge problem as well.
Sure.
One of the big reasons they had to reverse it is because not enough people were breeding to supplant the population that they have.
Right.
So they can't continue their numbers. They can't continue to be a world force without repopulating.
Well, so then in that case, to bring it back, what should we eat?
When the politicians keep politicking, before you turn to excessive drinking, spend some time collectively politinkering with the show where I don't know, man. 'Cause the truth is I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't know,
So hungry I could eat a dolphin.